Let's get one thing straight. You don't invest because money is sexy. You invest because you refuse to be irrelevant, because you want to disrupt your own future before the world disrupts it for you. If your mindset isn't fortified, your money is nothing but a flyer. Pretty in theory, worthless in the wind. They told you money is the problem, that if you only had more money, your problems would vanish, that if your bank account had one more zero, your confidence would rise, that if your salary was doubled, your freedom would arrive, and you believed them. But the truth is, money doesn't solve problems. It magnifies them. Money doesn't give you freedom if you're already trapped in your thinking. Money doesn't build confidence if your mind is still governed by fear. You don't need more money first. You need a mindset that commands money to work for you. The wealthy don't start with resources, they start with resourcefulness. Understand this. Money follows psychology, it follows courage, it follows certainty. That's why two people can inherit the same amount of cash. One builds an empire, the other collapses into debt. Same money, different mindset. It was never about the zeros in the account. It was always about the software running in the head. Your mind is your greatest investment vehicle. Before you open a brokerage account, before you buy your first stock, before you whisper the word cryptocurrency, you must confront the patterns of fear, laziness, and instant gratification that dominate most people's decisions. Because here's the truth. Money is neutral. It has no agenda. It simply flows toward those who know what to do with it. If your thinking is scarce, your money will shrink. If your thinking is abundant, your money will multiply. And that's why the conversation about money is so dangerous when it only happens at the level of mechanics. People want formulas. Where should I invest? Which stock should I buy? What's the secret fund? They want answers that leave on spreadsheets, but the real answer is far deeper. If you don't master your mindset, no formula will save you. You'll chase hype, you'll panic when markets dip, you'll cash out too soon or too late, you'll blame the economy, the government, or the system. But the system is not the problem. The system is designed to test your mindset. Think about it. Why do lottery winners go broke? Why do professional athletes earn millions yet end up bankrupt? Why do entrepreneurs raise millions in venture capital, yet lose everything in 3 years? It's not lack of opportunity. It's not lack of cash. It's lack of mental discipline. Their thinking was never upgraded to handle the weight of wealth. Money is a magnifier. It exposes who you are. If you are reckless, your money will vanish recklessly. If you are disciplined, your money will grow with discipline. So the real investment begins in the unseen world, in habits, beliefs, and mental frameworks. Discipline is the first currency. Courage is the second. Consistency is the third. When you build these in your mind, the money will follow. Without them, money is like water poured into a cracked vessel. It seeps out, and you don't even know where it went. Ask yourself, do you delay gratification, or do you always need the thrill now? Do you seek knowledge before action, or action before understanding? Do you view setbacks as lessons, or as proof that investing doesn't work? These questions matter because they reveal your operating system. And if your operating system is corrupted, your financial future is already compromised. The battle for wealth is not fought in the marketplace. It's fought in the mirror. Every morning you are negotiating with yourself. Do I stay small, or do I expand? Do I let fear run the show, or do I lead with courage? Do I blame external forces, or do I take ownership? Money follows the answers you choose daily. The person you become determines the wealth you create. And here's what most won't tell you. The mindset game is hard. It requires brutal honesty. It requires looking at your excuses and calling them lies. It requires rewiring the stories you've been told since childhood, that money is evil, that wealth is for other people, that you should just be grateful for little. Gratitude is important, yes, but gratitude should not kill ambition. Gratitude should anchor you, not cage you. When you begin to reprogram your thinking, you start to see money differently. It's no longer something you chase. It's something you attract. It's no longer a goal in itself. It's a tool. And when you see money as a tool, you start asking better questions. What can I build? What can I grow? How can I make money work while I sleep? That is the leap from consumer to creator, from spender to investor, from victim of circumstance to architect of destiny. So, let's be clear, money is not the prize. You are the prize. The most valuable asset is not gold, not real estate, not a stock portfolio. It's the mind that knows how to multiply all of those things. You can lose everything and still rebuild if your mindset is fortified. History is full of people who went bankrupt, lost fortunes, yet rebuilt empires because they had trained their minds. But no history book records the person with billions who lost it all because their mindset was fragile. The starting line of wealth is not your bank, it's your brain. The finish line is not a number, it's freedom. And freedom only comes when you master the psychology of money. Because if you can win in your head, you can win anywhere. So stop obsessing over money first. Fix the software, build resilience, build patience, build courage. When you do, money will chase you. And when it arrives, you'll know exactly what to do with it. They say, I will start when I have enough. Enough money, enough knowledge, enough time. That word enough has killed more dreams than failure ever did. The tragedy is that most people are waiting for a perfect moment that will never arrive. The truth, there is no perfect moment. There is only now, and the people who win in life are the ones who start, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect, even if it feels insignificant. Because what looks small today compounds into something extraordinary tomorrow. Think about it. A seed is small, barely visible, but within that seed lies an oak tree that will stand for hundreds of years. The beginning never looks like the outcome, but those who despise small beginnings never taste great endings. The discipline to begin with little is the very foundation of wealth, growth, and freedom. When you start small, you train the most important muscle you will ever develop, the habit muscle. Success is less about sudden explosions and more about consistent compounding. People want to leap into millions overnight, but the real game is learning how to multiply hundreds. Because if you cannot manage 100 with wisdom, what makes you think you will handle 100,000 with discipline? Money does not change who you are, it amplifies who you are. Starting small forces you to build the habits, the patience, and the resilience that prepare you for larger opportunities. The greatest mistake beginners make is waiting for the big break, the grand opportunity, the lump sum. But wealth does not respond to waiting, it responds to movement. You don't become an investor when you suddenly have excess funds lying around. You become an investor the moment you decide to start with whatever you have. That first investment, whether it's a tiny savings account, a fractional share, or a simple side hustle, is less about the amount and more about the statement you are making to yourself. I am building my future. And let's be brutally honest. Fear hides behind the excuse of not enough. People say, I'll start when I have more. But what they really mean is, I'm afraid to start because I don't want to fail. Here's the harsh truth, you will fail. You will make mistakes, you will lose money. That is not a reason to delay. That is the reason to begin early. The earlier you start, the cheaper your mistakes. Losing $100 at 20 teaches you lessons that save you from losing $100, zero at 40. Delay simply makes failure more expensive. Small beginnings also unlock the power of time. Time is the ultimate multiplier, and those who start early harness its compounding effect. A person who invests a little consistently for 10 years will often outperform the one who waits and invests a lot for only 2. It's not about the size of your capital. It's about the size of your horizon. Time turns the ordinary into the extraordinary, but time only works for those who respect it enough to start. There is also humility in starting small. It strips you of ego. It forces you to learn. It teaches you to value the process. Many people want to skip steps, to leapfrog to the outcome, but skipping the grind robs you of wisdom. Starting small ensures you earn every lesson, and those lessons become the foundation of your wealth. Wealth without wisdom collapses. Wisdom without wealth can still rebuild. And here is the uncomfortable truth. The world is not waiting for you. Opportunities do not pause while you gather courage. Markets move. Industries evolve. Disruption happens whether you are ready or not. If you hesitate, you are already behind. Starting small is less about money and more about positioning. By starting early, you position yourself to ride waves instead of being crushed by them. Imagine this: two friends graduate together. One says, "I'll start investing when I earn more." The other says, "I'll start with what I have, even if it's little." 10 years later, the one who waited is still planning. The one who acted has a portfolio, experience, and discipline. Who do you think wins in the end? Not the one who had the perfect plan, but the one who had the courage to act. And let me tell you this: small steps create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates scale. But none of this happens if you don't take that first tiny step. The beginning may feel laughable. People may mock your little savings account or your modest investments. Let them laugh, because while they are laughing, compounding is working, and one day the small beginning they mocked will be the empire they admire. The tragedy is not starting small. It's never starting at all. You don't need to wait for abundance. You need to begin with what you have. Do it with discipline. Do it with consistency. Do it with courage. And in time, what was once small will become something extraordinary. So the challenge is simple. Stop waiting. Stop rehearsing. Stop hiding behind the word enough. The perfect time will not come, but if you start today, even with something small, you begin the process of transformation. Your future self will look back and thank you for the courage you showed when you had so little. Because greatness is never built in one giant leap. It is built in small, deliberate steps that compound over time. Start early, even if small, because the seed you plant today will be the forest you walk through tomorrow. The one constant in this world is change. But here's the twist: change does not ask for your permission. It does not wait for you to be ready. It does not care about your comfort zones, your carefully drafted plans, or your attachment to how things used to be. Change arrives like a storm, sudden and uninvited, and it disrupts everything. Those who resist it are swept away. Those who adapt ride it like a wave and are carried to new heights. Disruption is not a possibility. It is a guarantee. Look around you. Entire industries that were once giants now lie in ruins. Companies that thought they were untouchable have disappeared into history books. Taxi empires shattered by ride-hailing apps. Brick and mortar stores crippled by e-commerce. Traditional media humbled by digital platforms. This is the reality. The market has no loyalty. It only rewards relevance, and relevance requires adaptability. The danger is that human beings are wired for comfort. We cling to what is familiar because it feels safe. We repeat what worked yesterday because it gives us the illusion of certainty. But the strategies that built yesterday's success are often useless for tomorrow's challenges. The skill is not in building once and holding forever. The skill is in reinventing yourself before the world forces you to. Disruption is brutal because it exposes rigidity. Think of a tree in the middle of a storm. The rigid tree that refuses to bend will snap. The flexible tree that sways and adapts will survive. The storm doesn't end faster for either tree, but only one makes it through. Life and business are no different. The storms will come. The disruptions will arrive. The only question is, are you flexible enough to survive them? Adaptability is not weakness. It is strength. It is not abandoning your vision. It is adjusting your strategy so the vision can live. Too many people confuse stubbornness with resilience. They think holding on to outdated methods is a sign of courage. It's not courage, it's suicide. Resilience is not refusing to change. Resilience is the capacity to evolve under pressure and still move forward. The most dangerous phrase you can ever say in business or in life is, "This is how we've always done it." That phrase has killed more careers, destroyed more companies, and ended more opportunities than any competitor ever could. The world does not care how you've always done it. The world is moving. The market is shifting. And if you don't adapt, you die standing still. But let's be clear, adaptability is not about panic. It's not about reacting to every new trend and chasing every shiny object. Adaptability is strategic. It's about reading the winds of change before they become hurricanes. It's about anticipating the shifts and positioning yourself early. Those who adapt first are not only survivors, they become leaders. The early adapters don't just survive disruption, they drive it. Ask yourself this: when disruption hits your industry, will you be the one asking, "What happened?" or the one people point to and say, "They saw it coming"? That difference is not luck, it's mindset. It's the willingness to constantly question your own success, to ask, what am I missing? What am I assuming? What would destroy me if it arrived tomorrow? Because here's the reality: your biggest threat is not failure, it's complacency. Think of the disruptors. They were not bigger, richer, or more powerful at the start. They were simply more adaptable. They moved faster. They broke rules. They saw opportunities where others saw risks. And when the market shifted, they were already prepared, while the giants were still debating whether to change. The disruptors win because adaptability is their default setting, and this lesson applies beyond business. In your personal life, adaptability is the difference between thriving and barely surviving. The world will test you: loss, setbacks, failures, crises. If your identity is rigid, you will crumble when life doesn't go according to plan. But if you learn to pivot, to reimagine yourself, to find new paths, then no disruption can destroy you. You don't escape storms, but you can transform in them. The truth is, disruption is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally if you choose to adapt, because disruption forces growth. It strips away the lazy thinking, the outdated models, the illusions of security. It demands innovation. It demands creativity. It demands courage, and in demanding those things, it makes you sharper, faster, better. Disruption separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. So, when the ground shakes beneath you, do not resist it. Do not cling to what is breaking. Do not mourn the death of comfort. Instead ask, what new possibility is being born here? What advantage can I seize? How can I evolve in this moment so that the storm does not end me, but elevates me? That is adaptability, that is survival, that is leadership. In the end, the choice is simple. You can be rigid and break, or you can be adaptable and rise. Disruption is coming. It always does. But those who are ready, those who bend, those who evolve, they don't just survive disruption. They own it, and when they do, the world has no choice but to follow. Ignorance is expensive. It costs more than failure, more than risk, more than mistakes. Because failure teaches you something, risk stretches you, mistakes refine you. But ignorance leaves you blind. It makes you play a game where you don't even know the rules. And in the world of investing, business, and wealth, the one who doesn't know the rules always pays the price. That is why knowledge is non-negotiable. You cannot outsource understanding. Too many people want shortcuts. Tell me the stock to buy. Tell me the quick scheme. Tell me the trick. They want the fruit without planting the seed, the reward without paying the price. But the market punishes laziness. The economy has no sympathy for the uninformed. The investor who does not understand risk becomes a victim of it. The entrepreneur who doesn't study the terrain becomes prey for those who did. You cannot play this game with borrowed knowledge. Knowledge is leverage. It gives you an edge, a perspective others don't have. It is the difference between panic and patience, between chasing noise and executing strategy. Without knowledge, every headline rattles you. A market dip feels like the end of the world. A friend's bad advice feels like truth, and fear dictates your every move. But with knowledge, you see patterns others miss. You understand cycles. You recognize opportunity where others see chaos. Knowledge doesn't just inform you. It empowers you, and here's the truth. Acquiring knowledge is hard. It takes time. It demands effort. It forces you to sacrifice entertainment for education. But that is the price of entry into the world of wealth creation. You must study. You must read. You must listen. You must expose yourself to perspectives that challenge your own. If you don't, the world will move on without you. Information is no longer a luxury. It's everywhere. The question is not whether information exists. The question is, are you disciplined enough to consume it, filter it, and apply it? There's a reason the most successful people remain obsessive learners. They don't stop reading after school. They don't stop asking questions after their first success. They understand that the game keeps changing, and only the curious survive. They spend hours in research, in mentorship, in analysis, because they know that today's knowledge becomes tomorrow's advantage, and tomorrow's ignorance becomes tomorrow's downfall. Let's be clear, knowledge is not about collecting facts. It is about cultivating understanding. Too many people memorize quotes and statistics, but lack the ability to interpret them. Knowledge that is not applied is trivia. Knowledge that is applied is power. The real value is in understanding the principles: risk, diversification, compounding, cash flow, leverage. When you understand principles, you can apply them across any environment. Markets change, trends change, but principles remain, and don't be fooled into thinking ignorance can be hidden. The market exposes you. The negotiation table exposes you. The first crisis exposes you. When you don't know what you're doing, it shows. And the world does not reward ignorance. It exploits it. Every time you delay learning, you position yourself as someone else's opportunity. They know more, so they take more. But here is the beauty of knowledge: it compounds. Just like money in an account, knowledge builds on itself. What you learn today connects with what you learn tomorrow, and over time your perspective grows sharper. At first, the concepts feel overwhelming. But keep at it. One book becomes 10, one course becomes mastery, one question becomes a network of insights. The same way small investments multiply into wealth, small acts of learning multiply into wisdom. Knowledge also gives you freedom. Without it, you rely on others to make decisions for you. Advisors, friends, so-called experts. And while guidance is valuable, dependency is dangerous. Because if you don't know, you cannot decide. If you cannot decide, you cannot lead. And if you cannot lead, you will always be led. Knowledge liberates you from dependency. It puts the power back in your hands. But let's not romanticize it. Knowledge alone is not enough. The world is full of intelligent people who are broke. The point is not to collect knowledge like trophies. The point is to use it, to act on it, to test it, to refine it. Action turns knowledge into experience, and experience turns experience into wisdom. But without the first step, without the hunger to know, you will never get to the level where your decisions carry weight. So the mandate is clear. If you want to play this game, you must learn it. Don't gamble with your future because you are too lazy to read, too distracted to listen, too arrogant to ask. Become a student again. Study markets. Study human behavior. Study history. Because every boom and every crash has happened before. The signs are there for those who care to look. Knowledge is non-negotiable. It is not optional. It is not a bonus. It is the foundation. Everything else is built on it. And in a world where disruption is constant, where opportunities appear and vanish in the blink of an eye, knowledge is the only insurance. With it, you can pivot. Without it, you will perish. So choose today. Stay ignorant and remain at the mercy of others, or commit to learning and put yourself in control of your destiny. Because wealth does not belong to the strongest nor the loudest. It belongs to the most informed. And the informed are those who decided, long before the opportunity arrived, that ignorance was never an option. You can read every book. You can attend every seminar. You can watch 100 videos, take notes, highlight, nod your head in agreement, and still your life won't change. Because knowledge without execution is just theory, and theory doesn't build wealth. Theory doesn't create impact. Theory doesn't change your circumstances, only action does. Action is the ultimate teacher. Most people are trapped in the loop of preparation. They prepare and prepare and prepare some more. They call it research. They call it planning. They call it waiting for the right time. But underneath the layers of excuses is fear. Fear of failing, fear of losing face, fear of making mistakes. So they hide behind perfectionism. They want the first move to be flawless. But here's the truth. The first move will never be flawless. The first move will be messy, awkward, and uncomfortable. And that is exactly why it is so powerful. Because the first move is not about perfection. It's about momentum. You cannot think your way into mastery. You act your way into mastery. The entrepreneur who starts a small business learns more in 6 months of action than in 6 years of theory. The investor who buys one stock, even a small one, learns more about markets than the person who spends endless nights reading charts but never places a trade. Knowledge informs, but action transforms. Action makes the abstract real, and the beauty of action is that it reveals truth. Plans look perfect in your head, but reality tests them. You thought you understood risk until you had money on the line. You thought you understood discipline until you had to resist selling in a panic. You thought you understood leadership until people were relying on your decisions. Action exposes gaps in your knowledge and forces growth. That's why it is the ultimate teacher. It doesn't lie. The fear of mistakes paralyzes so many. But mistakes are not the enemy. They are tuition fees for mastery. Every error is feedback. Every failure is data. The only wasted mistake is the one you refuse to learn from. Waiting until you know enough is like waiting until you're fit before going to the gym. You don't get fit by waiting. You get fit by lifting, sweating, stumbling, and coming back stronger. Wealth, influence, and impact work the same way. Think about it. The most successful people you admire are not the ones who got it right the first time. They are the ones who kept moving when others stopped. They launched, failed, adjusted, and launched again. They invested, lost, recalibrated, and reinvested. They didn't wait for certainty. They created certainty by acting. The pattern is clear. It is not the smartest who win, it is the boldest. Action also builds confidence. People think confidence comes before action. Wrong. Confidence is born out of doing. You were not confident the first time you drove a car, or spoke in public, or tried something new. But you acted, and with repetition, confidence grew. Inaction keeps you insecure. Action builds courage, and courage, once built, carries you into opportunities others are too hesitant to touch. And let me challenge you with this. Inaction is also a decision. Choosing not to act is still choosing. The difference is, inaction guarantees regret. Years from now, you will not regret the small investments that failed, the ventures that didn't work out, the risks that didn't pay off. But you will regret the chances you never took, the opportunities you let pass, the moments you played it safe. Regret is the cost of inaction, and it is far heavier than the cost of failure. Action is not reckless. It is intentional. It does not mean jumping blindly. It means moving with calculated courage. Start small, but start. Place that first trade. Save that first amount. Launch that first project. Write that first page. Do something, because once you begin, the path reveals itself. Doors you didn't see before will open. People you didn't expect will appear. Opportunities you couldn't imagine will unfold. But none of that happens if you stay still. And here is the secret. Action compounds. One step leads to another. One small victory fuels the next. Over time, momentum takes over. What felt impossible becomes inevitable. That is how empires are built, not with one grand gesture, but with relentless action, repeated consistently, even when it feels insignificant. The compound effect of small, disciplined actions is unstoppable. So stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop overthinking. Stop hiding behind research. The only way to learn how to swim is to get in the water. The only way to learn how to build wealth is to start building. The only way to learn how to lead is to step up and lead. Action will stretch you, humble you, frustrate you, but it will also shape you. And in the process, it will teach you more than any textbook, any lecture, any theory ever could. In the end, the world doesn't reward ideas. It doesn't reward intentions. It rewards execution. Action separates the dreamers from the doers, the spectators from the players, the talkers from the builders. And if you want to be counted among those who build, who create, who lead, you must act, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because in this life, you don't learn by watching. You learn by doing. And when you do, the lessons you gain become the foundation of everything you will achieve. Action is not just the teacher. Action is the difference. So what will you do today? Go home and watch more investment videos? Or will you take one small, smart step, open your first investment account, make your first purchase, commit to learning? Let me tell you, a strategy without execution is a daydream. You don't graduate from beginners' mistakes. You graduate by doing. Now go out there, invest in your future, and let the world try to keep up with you.